Hi everyone, it's Mickey here from A Pretty Talent and the Waterwell Ministries, and I am back in the last in the series that I'm doing on pastels. And what I'm doing tonight is not strictly speaking pastels, but they do fit in so well with this category that I think it would be a shame to leave it out. I want to introduce you to tinted charcoals. Now, to date, I have not discovered another company that makes tinted charcoals, at least not the way that the Durban tinted charcoals are. I have seen advertisements for the tinted charcoals, but on closer inspection, they are more like pastel pencils. And the difference is that pastel pencils are bright. They're very bright colors. Even when you have your earth tones, they're still very intense. And in order to give you an indication of how they compare, I have grabbed this same paper that I've been working on with the soft pastels, the chalk pastels, and I brought my set. Now this is a brand new set. Let me just quickly show you. You'll see it's not even been opened yet. But I've brought my set of rather well-used tinted charcoal pencils. The lid on this one looks differently. Durban kind of steps it up every so often, but still the same product. And I want to show you, when I draw on the same paper, how these compare. Now, I should maybe have sharpened these beforehand. I do not like to sharpen any of my pencils, honestly, when putting them away. I would much rather take them out and sharpen them when I want to use them. It's much less likely that a sharpened point is going to break off in the process of being carried, because these will move when you carry them. And so really, especially my pastel pencils and my tinted charcoals and those kinds of things, I don't like to put them away sharpened. If they are sharpened, then so be it. But if they've not been sharpened, if I've worked them to a blunt point, then I'd prefer to just leave them as is. And I'm saying that it's just my little quirk, I suppose. When you do sharpen these, you want to use a pastel sharpener, or preferably even an artist knife, a Stanley knife, something to sharpen it with. And I'm not going to sharpen this to an extremely sharp point here, but I want to at least have a point to show you. Not all sharpness will sharpen pastels and tinted charcoals. You want to get yourself a dedicated sharpener. Experience has taught me that not all sharpness are equal. This is ocean deep. It is a deep blue. Now, when I compare this blue to a deep blue from the pastels, you can see this. There is absolutely no comparison, actually. Let me pull this over. So this would be the deepest blue that the set has here. This is a purple, and this looks black by comparison, and that is because this is still compressed charcoal that they've put tints in. Now I'm going to imagine that those tints are something similar to the pastel ranges, but because this is still in the first place charcoal, you will never have these extremely bright colors that you would have in pastels. Let me pull in another color. One of the brightest ones they have in the series is this burnt orange. Now the burnt orange, if I put it next to the orange there, you can see again it's a much more muted color. And if I bring it into a similar kind of color here, sure, somewhere in there. Let's bring in this one. You can see there's still a vibrancy to this one, which this one doesn't have. Just to give you an indication of how they differ from pastels, soft pastels. Now, having said that, they work the same. They feel the same. When you play with them, you could easily confuse them for being the same thing. I'm trying to find a paper that I can illustrate on black with. We've been working on black with all of these, so I figured I should bring this to the black. Now, with the brighter colors, the lighter colors, you would be able to go onto black. But the moment you have a darker shade, you are going to disappear on black. And there are way too many dark shades and way too few light shades to make it worth your while to work on black. So, having said that, what do we then work on? Well, I guess we could work on white. But for the same reason that I wouldn't want to work on white with the soft pastel pencils, I wouldn't want to work on white with the tinted charcoals either. I could, I suppose, but I wouldn't want to. I'm looking for a paper, once again, that has grain, and this one doesn't. It's a very, very smooth finished drawing paper. Sketchbook. It's a very cute little picture. In any case, it's a very nice little sketchbook, but it's very smooth paper. And just as with your soft pastels, your tinted charcoals have a powdery residue that needs to be caught in the grain of the paper, the tooth of the paper. And that powdery residue that sits on the paper needs to be fixed there. In essence, it's movable, within bounds. But in any case, so we are once again going to be working with the fact that there's going to be a slight transparency in the backdrop that will show through to the drawing and becomes part of the painting. Now, I would much prefer to work on something like this. Now, this is craft paper. It's not really actually art paper. I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. Right, so the craft paper is not as smooth as the sketchbook was. It is still not an extremely grainy paper, but you can see that I can manage quite a few layers on this paper. It has enough tooth to capture the charcoal. And charcoal, anyone who's ever built a fire with charcoal, it's burnt wood. And you know that residue, it stays on everything and it comes on everything, and it's not difficult to fix it to a surface. So these are a couple of drawings that I've just played with. I don't think there's one here. No. Just some sketches. I feel as if I'm missing one. I don't know. I thought there was another one here. I may have taken it out. This, I believe, is a combination of charcoal and pastel, because there is no color as bright as that one in this collection. And I can't quite recall what I've done here, but it would not surprise me if I had combined pastels and tinted charcoals, because they will combine very well. Okay, so having said that, let's go to this front page, which for some odd reason I have left open. I think because it is oddly glued here. I would imagine that's what I was thinking, that it's a bit of an odd page. But it will suffice for the silly little flowers that we want to draw. Now, I don't need to come in with a different pencil to come and draw this picture. I can use pretty much any of these pencils to draw with. Now I have here, let me just quickly run through these names. That is elderberry. That is thistle, sunset pink. This is mountain blue, heather mist, natural, dark moss, and they all have numbers as well, sand, bilberry, glowing embers, burnt orange, forest pine, slate, I love the names as well, green moss, lavender, driftwood, ocean deep, get that one back, peat, burnt embers, burnt earth, and then we have 3 shades of black, a light, a medium, and a dark, and white. So let's use the dark black. I'm not going to fill the page. I'm just going to do a quick, let me do it somewhere in the middle. I'm doing pretty much what I've been doing with these flowers. I'm relinquishing a bit of control. You will see I am not holding my pencil the way I would hold a pencil that I want to write with. I want a painterly flower to evolve from this drawing. I do not want it to look overworked and overplanned and forced. And I chose the lightest of the black pencils to draw this with because I want to leave the darkest shades for the shadow areas, for the dark shadow areas. Now, what colors am I going to go with? I want to show you some of the lighter colors, the brighter colors, because you know charcoal, and I want to show you what charcoal can look like in its lightest form. That is me finishing my coffee very quickly, otherwise it's going to be ice cold. Now, this is burnt orange, and I'm going to bring this burnt orange to the drawing, and I'm going to start filling areas with this burnt orange. Now, I am again going to need a fixative at the end of this to fix the charcoal to the rest of the page. Well, to the page. Now, I tend to be very philosophical when I'm doing art, and my mind takes me to interesting places. And honestly, if I'm not shooting videos, then I'm pretty much having these same kinds of conversations while doing art. Sometimes out loud, and sometimes in my head. And I'm having these conversations with God. It's excellent prayer time for me. A contemplative time of sitting, creating, drawing. And in the process of creating and drawing, and I'm also drawing nearer to my creator, it's treasured time. But in any case, small wonder then that I tend to become a little bit philosophical when creating art. But when I think about burnt wood that has passed through the fire in order to become useful, then I think how life's trials would put us through the fire, so to speak, in order to turn us into something useful for our Creator. I need to sharpen this one, it's very blunt. And if we go with it, if we allow the process to take place, and if we learn to work with our Creator instead of thinking He is someone we need to oppose in this process. We come out kind of like this tinted charcoal, or like charcoal, if you like, useful. More useful than before we passed through the fire. And so life's trials, as much as we all hate them, and I hate them as well, I mean, no different from you where that's concerned. But life's trials, it builds character. It's where our character is built. It's where our character is tested. It's where we get to know ourselves, and it's where we get to know our Creator. I can honestly tell you, I'm 53. I turned 53 this month. And I have lived enough years on this earth to know that God never fails. He will be in that fire with you. And now, Daniel's 3 friends in the Bible, they are the first to bring this testimony to us, that when they were literally put in the fire, God was there with them. They were not alone. And there are so many passages in the Bible that I can refer to. But when you walk and talk with God and live with God, and I almost want to say you breathe God, he becomes entrenched part of your life. Then you know, and you have your own testimony, and no longer relying on a biblical testimony. Let me quickly tell you what I've done here. So I have started with a darker shade here in the center of the flowers, and the edges of the petals I have now colored in a much lighter shade, and much lighter. It's almost the same color as the page. And I'm sort of thinking that from the distance that you are looking at this, that to you it might not seem as if I've done much here at all, because it's probably just fading into one color here. There is a difference though in the color. I wonder if I can lift it up. I'm always so scared of doing that, because when you do that, it can sort of create this impression that you're shoving something right into someone's face. The camera perceives things awkwardly. And especially if you're watching this on a big screen, then all of a sudden this page is just shoved in your face. In any case, so I try to avoid doing that, but I'm hoping that you could see that there is actually a difference in the colors that I've used. I am going to come in with sunset pink. And this is going to give me a bit of joy here. I need to soften that line. That came out way too dark. And this is a colorless blender. I had on Temu. You buy these in packs on Temu, and then they're rather inexpensive by comparison to others that you can find. I'll work that one a little bit later, but that's so I'm just adding I say joy, a happy color, a friendly color, a warm color. Now these are all warm colors. These are all warm colors, that's true. But I'm building up the warmth, the joy in these flowers. And you can see as I'm doing that, the depth is developing. The petals are taking shape. They're no longer just flat shapes, but they're becoming rounded, slowly and surely creating depth. And it's a process. It's a process. It's a process in humans. Depth. We're not born with depth. It's a process. It makes me think of all these instant wisdoms that we share these days, little photos and sayings and things that we send on to each other. And when we read them, we can all recognize them to be wise, to contain wisdom. But there is a truth to wisdom, true wisdom, that you have to have experienced it for it to be fixed. Those kinds of wisdoms that we share by sending them on to each other, and I'm not criticizing the act of sending it on, when we recognize them as being true, that is easily forgotten as being read, because there is no foundation for them to settle on in our being. That's where experience comes in. Once you have experienced something, and that wisdom becomes born from inside, it is a fixed wisdom. It is no longer something that someone else told you about. It is something that you know because you have lived it. Now, you can see that what I'm doing here is starting to make a real difference. And this is thistle. It's a purple color, hue. And it is now going to add a whole lot of depth and dimension to this drawing, which is not had up to this point, and simply because it is a much darker, much deeper color. And that depth, you need to go deep to create that depth. All right, I'm gonna come back just now. Let me just get these, all of these more or less to that point. Now, this thing of God being with us in our times of trials and tribulations, you know, I've more than one occasion, I've had people opening their mouths, spreading lies and rumors and innuendo about me, and I've never quite understood it. I know there's a jealousy and envy is something at the heart of it, but that cannot be the full story. I don't know. I found that hard. I find it hard to understand, because, you know, we have a different way of looking at ourselves, and I look at other people and I go, I don't understand why you would feel envy or jealous. I mean, you have so much going for yourself. I don't know. But anyways, it baffles me. I see that's the detail that I said that I was going to come back to and add. So now they kind of seem like little tears in the ends of the petals. And can you tell that I enjoy this medium? I think when you love a medium that you're working with, it shows, and you can tell. And you can tell that I love this one. Yeah. What was I trying to say? I interrupt myself so much that sometimes I just lose track of my own conversations. Now, when people open their mouths, that's where I was going with this. It's not your battle to fight. And it took me a while to realize that. You read that in the Bible. The battle's not ours, it's the Lord's. And we can all quote it, and we all know it, and we know the scripture by heart. But you have to have lived it to know the true meaning, the true depth of those words. And I'm reminded of that in what happens with Daniel's friends when they are thrown into the lion's den. And the lions' mouths are shut by the presence of God. Now, too often, we attempt to shut the lions' mouths, all the while claiming the battle is not ours. The battle is not ours. The battle belongs to God. If you're doing God's work, leave it to Him. And then we're disappointed when things doesn't happen the way that we would have preferred for it to have happened. And we start complaining to Him, and we do. Oh, trust me, we do. Lord, I would have wanted you to have done this, and I would have wanted you to have done that, and I would have preferred if you'd handled it this way or that way. And the truth is, we take our cues not from what we should, and I'm going to get to that now, but rather from what has been shoved down our throats, and we've all been exposed to way too much Hollywood, retaliation, retribution kind of stories, and way too little forgiveness and loving. And we awaken to that very late. This color, by the way, is glowing embers, and I'm attempting to use a variety of the colors here to introduce you to them so that you can see the effects of them. But I'm also having so much fun that I'm just carrying on. Our enemy is walking around like a lion, seeking who he can devour. Our enemy is not our fellow human beings, certainly not fellow Christians. Now, they are the ones who will hurt us more often than not, and that is true. And you are more than welcome to go speak to our Father, theirs, yours, mine, all of ours, about the issue. But it is not in His nature to destroy people. It is in His nature to teach, to show mercy, and to love. And so when you go to Him to complain about a brother or sister in Christ, be prepared to learn something about that incredible capacity to love. Even those who hurt and sin and do wrong. Now, I am not for 1 second saying that God is okay with bad behavior. I am telling you that His way of dealing with bad behavior differs profoundly from what you and I know, have in mind, or would even think of attempting. And he has this was sand. he has an eternal perspective, which we don't always have. I'm looking for something to put on the inside here. What shall I go with inside? Maybe I should go with this same one, this sand, and just do a bit of a shade there. I'm not going all the way to the edges, though I did there a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to go with, which one I go with? Driftwood. No, driftwood has no point. I need to sharpen it again. Okay. I am trying to create, goodness, some depth here. I should say that just as with the chalk pastels, you would probably also sorry, I'm getting lost in what I'm doing here. You'd also work at an angle, so that the dust particles would fall to the bottom of the page rather than working across the page like this. I'm again imagining a light source coming from somewhere around here, and the shadow then falling to the side. The other thing that I've said in the video on chalk pastels is that you don't rest your hand. If you look at my hand here, you will see that I've never once rested it on my paper. It's something you need to teach yourself to do. It's not something that comes natural to us. If we've been writing, we've been resting our hand on the paper and dragging it across the paper, and that's how we were taught to write. When we're working with charcoal and soft pastels and things, we need to change that, drastically change that, because we will cause havoc on our page. This is dark moss, it's a green. This is heather mist. I think this is the color I want. Here again, no point. You'll see I don't sharpen these much. There I go, put down my hand. Just after saying I don't do that. I love that. Anyways, yeah. I am stippling here. I'm creating texture by stippling. It's not actual texture, it is optical texture. It's the illusion of texture. And it just makes for a bit of a more interesting center to the flowers here. Not too much in the middle. Right, yeah, I'm going to overwork it. Where was that driftwood? I think I need to pull it in a bit. And when I say pull it in, I am very lightly. I am barely touching the page here. Very, very, very lightly. Just shading it in so it's not such a sharp transition. Just softening that transition there. Now, I want to break those lines, and so I do a bit of a squiggly line there. I honestly don't think I should do more here. I could, should, would maybe come in with this dark ocean deep and add a tad more depth right here in the fold and on the shadow side. And if I keep working this, it is going to look better. and I can keep working it, but I need to remind myself that I'm trying to keep the videos rather short. It really is just meant to be an introduction to the medium and not a fully developed drawing. I cannot tell you why it is that I love this medium so much. I'm hard pressed to put it down. I absolutely love working with it. Now I'm going to come in with elderberry, and I am just on the side of the pencil. I am going to add some shade. I don't have enough pencil left here. Okay. I'm going to add some shade here. And then when I come to the areas that's in the light now, I'm going to change it out. Right, let's bring in this one maybe. Forest Pine, is this? No, let's go with Mountain Blue. Mountain Blue. I'm still doing that thing, but I'm now transitioning it, so I am slightly overshading, going over the previous shade, dragging it in here, and just combining the two where they meet. And this is going to be my light area. Now, let's imagine that the light hits on the side again. Okay, so that kind of looks like a heart. That wasn't intentional. I need more shade on this side. Okay. Now you can come in and you can do a blend, as with all things pastel. Where did I put that white page? Here it is. Okay. Oh my goodness, I gotta reach for it. So I can blend, and especially if I've got more than one color, I can blend those two colors to, again, simply create an optical third color that's not going to be an actual color. It's not really going to blend, but I can do that. I actually like this kind of stripy effect. Am I going to like it more? Okay, let's soften it slightly, because we are trying to teach techniques, and I've not been blending the flowers, so let me blend this. And you can decide for yourself which you like best. Now, as with everything, when you blend that close to your subject, then you're going to lose some of the definition in the leaves. We will have to put that back. Right, so let's, it is softer, isn't it? Okay, let's leave it at that. I am now going to come in with something like this dark moss. And I am, again, not, oh goodness, I do this too often and then I have no points left to work with. There. That should give me what I want. I want to create that illusion of foliage, leaves, if you like, without actually drawing leaves. And so I'm really just laying down colors, running green lines, scribbles and things all over, not developing actual foliage. I'm looking for another color to go with that one. Green moss. Okay, it's an interesting color. Just to pick this up and run with it. Support it if you want. And more than one shade is always a good idea in anything. Now I am going to soften this a little bit. I think it's too pronounced. I like that better. Okay, now I need to recover those edges, and I'm going to recover those edges in a bright color, which again has left me without a point. It's rather pointless. So I'm coming in with bright colors. And you will notice I am moving my hand in a squiggly manner because I certainly do not want a fixed line there. My burnt embers. Okay. And I don't need to tell you that this definition, which is reintroduced to the edges, is making a humongous difference, doesn't it? It's but also notice I'm not controlling the pencil too much. That relinquishing of control is so essential. Could I come in with a white here? I wonder if it's going to be too stark. I think I could just get away with it. But I'm very, very light on the pencil, barely putting it down, and only, literally only on the light side, the side hit by the light. Oh, go on. And I'm going to leave it at that. You can barely see the white. I do not want the white to stand out, to pop out from the rest of the painting. It needs to be a bit more pronounced there. But it makes a difference regardless. I need a color that I can sign my name with, and I think I shall go with this burnt earth or this one? Let's go with Burnt Embers. And I'm just going to do a... Okay. Right. The tinted charcoal will always be muted. Always be muted. It is compressed charcoal with tints of color introduced to it, but always in the first place charcoal. And these are some really, really silly flowers that we've been drawing. And I've been having fun with these silly flowers, I've got to be honest with you. You can develop this more. You can develop this substantially more. There's the one that I was looking for. Why did I miss it just now? Still not sure this is tinted charcoals only. But this one I think needs further development. Honestly, when I come to this, I go, you haven't finished this. You need to finish this. I get to be overly critical on things, but also sometimes you just need to walk away and come back and see what you need to do. This one I kind of like. It's unexpected. This one I love. And yeah, I think this one is up there. You can see that I've introduced more white in these ones than I have in this one that I've just now done. And if I want to take that to the same style, I can introduce more white, but I'm going to leave this as is. You can now, my pencils are far enough away that I can do this, and I really should shake this thing before I do it. Okay, but anyways. So again, as with the soft pastel, let me try that again. As with the soft pastels, the chalk pastels, the color is going to recede a bit as soon as you put the spray on it, the fixative. This is hairspray or artist fixative, doesn't matter. It's going to disappear a bit into the backdrop. And then as this dries, again, it's going to come back out and you will see the colors more pronounced, more clearly, pretty much as it was before you've sprayed it. It fixes it rather well, but it will still lift. And you need to know that. So again, if this is something that you are going to frame, you are going to have to frame it behind glass. Soft pastels or chalk pastels, charcoal or tinted charcoal, watercolors, those are things that we tend to frame behind glass because they will lift again. We have an onlooker who pushes their hands into the drawings, into the paintings, will be able to affect the paintings, and so we protect them behind glass. Now you can see, as I've been saying, this has pretty much recovered to what it was. It's not entirely dry yet, but it is pretty close. And that really is all I have to say on the point of tinted charcoal. No doubt by the amount of time and detail and just my sheer enjoyment of the process, I think it is obvious to everyone watching that this is an absolute favorite medium of mine. Absolutely love it. Let me know what you think. Cheers, guys. Till next time.